Welcome to this video where I'm going to do a weekly review of the trades I've taken between the 23rd and the 26th of March. So I'm going to share with you three things. The weekly trading review, losing week. It's not a losing week. Let me just correct that. All right. I'm going to share with you what I'm ashamed of and what I'm proud of this week. And the lesson for this week is tilt. Because last week was a losing week. That's why it said a losing week. This week was not a losing week. And the thing I'm going to talk about today is tilt, because the thing that I know uh, about myself is that I usually tilt the week after I have a losing week. Why? Because I want to get back to it, get back to the game. I don't want to have red weeks, right? So that is the week I'm extra cautious this week. I'm extra aware. I write a post-it note. Uh, I write a post-it note right here, and I put it next to me, and I have a lot of post-it notes. This is so so messy, right? And I keep focusing on that on a daily basis when I take trades. Like, am I risking correctly? Am I entering correctly? I'm extra aware. I'm not relying on the subconscious taking the trades for me, basically, because it becomes automatic after a while. So weekly trading results. On Monday, I took a great win. This could have been this was a risky trade. Why? Because I risked 1%. I risked 1% on this trade. It was a good setup. And I always reverted back to my checklist. Am I following my rules? Am I risking correctly? Am I doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing? And just this trade ate up all my losses I had from the last week. And this is where overconfidence is built, right? Monday, I'm taking a trade. I'm back to break even. I'm still in profit right now. Tuesday, it's that is where it happens, right? We think we are all powerful, and then we break right here, and then we break right here, and then we continue breaking, and our equity curve goes goes from this area up to this, because we can't stomach seeing these losses, because we just made it um, out of this area, not this one, out of this area, right? So this is my week. Monday, winning trade. Tuesday, I didn't risk that much. Break even trade. I risked and I lost and I risked again, and I took a 1-to-1. Wednesday, I risked what is that? 0. 0.5. I didn't risk 0.25. Yeah, no, I'm gonna explain it now. I got it. I risked, I took two positions of 0.5%, and I closed the position halfway. So let me go through the trades right now, and let me show you what I did. And this is supposed to be, and this is how I do my weekly analysis. So I don't journal anymore. This is my new way of journaling. I do a weekly review, I go through my trades, and I go through them on Friday. Why? Because they are fresh in my mind. I can still um, I can remember what I did. I can remember the feelings. I write to myself also my PNL, and I do this just to. There is something called spaced repetition. Let me just show you spaced repetition. If you study in the university or something like that, you probably know about this. When you learn something new, right? When we learn something new, this is what happens. We learn something, right? And it goes a day, then we forgot 60% of what we learned. When it goes um, 2 days, sorry, when it goes a day and we review it after a day, it goes back to 100%. And when it goes 3 days, like, we still remember it after a couple of days, as long as we review it. So that's why I'm doing a weekly review. This chart is better when you repeat it. Because if you learn something and it goes one day and you have it repeated, you've lost about 60% of the knowledge that you've learned on day one. So many of us, we learn something and we never repeat it. And If you think that, you know what, I'm gonna remember this, you're not gonna remember this. And I've learned this over the years. And if it goes 6 days, look at where we're at. You remember 20% of what you learned. So that's why I'm doing this. That's why I encourage you to do those things so you can watch your trades and see where you can improve and get better. So back to the trades. So the trade I took on Monday, that was a beautiful trade. Look at this. This like I could have risked more, but I didn't want to. Like I could have risked 2% of this trade, but I didn't want to. Why? Because I'm coming from a losing week. That's so important. That is why we can do a month of work and we can blow all of that work in one trade in 8 minutes. Look at this trade. It's so beautiful. So what did I do? I'm using the same setup. I'm um, breakup structure, fair value gap, liquidity sweep, and I'm following the trend basically is what I'm doing. And I take my first take profit on this area right here, and I had my second take profit on this area right here, and I thought, you know what, because we passed 11 o'clock. This is where it happens. I usually trade between 8:45 and 11 o'clock, 11:30, depending on how I feel. This, like I'm focused so much on the tilting side because after 11 o'clock, watching my history, watching my what I've done in my past, after 11 o'clock is where it gets messy, where I blow so much money, I mess up, I do mistakes because I'm not strong in my mind. It feels like I can't handle my emotions anymore. So that's why I leave and I try to break out of the trade at 11 o'clock. Now, so many people, you know what they do at this time? They put their stop loss to break even, which I did after I take my first stop take profit. They put their stop loss to break even and they keep their TP or take profit area right here and they close their computer and leave. Now, that's my this is my perspective. When you do that, are you taking the trades with you when you leave? When you're out with your family, when you're out doing things, when are you checking the trades on your phone? Are you you're still basically inside of the trade, but you're not sitting next to the computer. So I don't want to be that. I want to have freedom. I want to do my thing from 9 to 11 and just leave, just block it out. That is it. It doesn't matter if I gain $300 more or something like that. It doesn't matter. My mental state is more important to me. So so I closed the entire position right here because I felt, you know what, uh, let's take the profit. I'm happy with whatever the market is giving me, and I'm gonna exit. So that's one thing. That's what I'm proud of. Now, this is the second trade on Tuesday. So I didn't like this setup very much. Honestly, I didn't like it not because of the setup was looking like this. It was because it felt like that this was a feeling, and it's dangerous to trust a feeling. But this setup felt like it didn't feel good. Like this comes with market experience, basically. Like I took this trade, it felt like it's too quick. The market wants to take out more liquidity before it goes to the upside, right? So I took this trade, and then I got stopped out pretty quickly. And to be honest with you, when these things happen, you enter a trade, it goes 1, 2, 3 minutes, 3.5, and you get stopped out. I'm happy with these trades. Why? Because it's not sitting in drawdown for 20 minutes and then taking me out. It's direct. So I took another trade after it swept right here. This is the first trade I took. This is the second trade I took, and it swept liquidity, and this is where I entered on the liquidity. There was a fair value gap right here. It broke structure right here, and this is where I entered, and I re-entered again, right? And I took a one-to-one, and I didn't have patience to wait for it to take out my take profit. Why? Because, like I said before, this is the areas where I tilt. We passed 11 o'clock. When we pass 11 o'clock, this is where I do my most mistakes. So I'm not inviting it, right? And on Wednesday, this is the last trade of the week, is this is the school run. This is the school run. There's the overnight range right here. There's a line right here. The school run closed overneath, the 50-minute candle closed overneath the overnight range. And this is where I took my trade. And my plan was to move the stop loss to break even on this area. So it didn't happen. This was a not, it didn't, it didn't react. It didn't go as planned. So what did I do? I exited the position. Yeah, I just knew this was a losing position. So why keep holding on to a losing position? Let go if you're midway through the trade and you're not liking the trade, exit the position. There's nothing wrong with that. This will basically save you more than holding on to the position and having hope. I mentioned it I mentioned it on the school community. Hope is not a strategy because when we are in the stop loss area, we hope for it to return back to our take profit area. But are we really analyzing it objectively? Is this a good trade? So hope is not a strategy, as they say in the F1 movie with Brad Pitt. Right. And that's about it for this week. I took one, two, three, four trades this week. This is a good week. It's not too much, it's not too little. This was a good week, and this is the lesson I had to say about tilting. Tilting, it's a real thing. It's the same thing um, with eating unhealthy foods. When time comes and the kids are asleep and we are at home and it comes 8 o'clock comes, and that's why we're like the willpower is so small. That is when I usually eat sweets and chocolates and overeating and start watching TV and all these things. But how do I stop myself from doing that? I take a piece of gum. I take a piece of gum and put it in my mouth, and I'm not thinking about tilting in the diet area, right? With the sweets and the sugars and stuff. So we all need to find a way of how we are when we tilt and what coping mechanisms we use to not tilt, right? So if you just pass the funded account, our we're not even keeled. We feel like we're gonna do great, right? If you pass a funded account and you just leave it for a week or so, leave it, go celebrate, that you passed the funnel account, and then you get back to it without having these enormous expectations that we gotta do something great. Take it one step at a time. As always, if you haven't done it already, join the school community. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. I make content over there that's trading related, but not really um, the same style of trades or videos that I do right here. All right. Have a great weekend. Have a great Friday, and talk to you inside the community. Bye.